My name is Paul Rubig. I'm from Austria. I'm a member of European Parliament since 1996. I'm within EPP Group, and I'm concentrating on the budget committee. That means a yearly budget approximately 140 billion. I'm in charge of the ITRE committees. It's also industrial policy, research, and energy and telecommunication. So it's really the key issue where Europe can deliver. And then I'm the chairman of the so-called science committee, the STOA committee, Scientific Technology Options Assessment, where we look into the future up till 2050, which legal framework we would need, and that's quite interesting to do. At least in Europe we have approximately 120 million houses, buildings, which need a recovery, especially in efficiency terms. So the key question is, how can we equip the new buildings? And I think there is a lot of efficiency gain within short time, because at least a lot of new standards give you also a short return on investment. And a lot of people have a lot of money on in the bank, getting not a very good interest rate. They could have very good interest if they invest in their own building and get to return normally within short time. So it's not only a question of efficiency in energy, it's also a question in using resources. And for the overall society, it has a big benefit if we start to invest heavily into this area. Recycling is at least something where we can see that the value chain is quite efficient, could be quite efficient, from the raw material, where we import approximately 200 billion euro every year on the raw material. We can think what is possible to recycle, and in this field I see the cycle economy is also an efficient tool which gives new companies a chance to develop strategies where we could have big success. Yes, of course, renovation plays a very important role. We have to think how architects could be educated and specialized, and how can we get economy of scale in a renovation. I think a lot of new approach is necessary to make it easy for the consumer to give a contract. So the education for architects and also for the handicraft area is quite important. We have to make sure that the handicraft people know their field, that they get also the necessary standard, and that's what we call the so-called dual education, where people should know the theory and also know it how to fix and how to do it by hand. And renovation, of course, is the area where we could create most of the jobs within the European Union, because that's a little bit difficult in industrial standards. I think it's very good to see that handicraft area could have a serious part on new employment in this way. I think it's very clear that from European Union's point of view, our main problem is how to create new good paid jobs for young people. So renovation would be a field where not only academic people are necessary, it's necessary to create vocational training, it's necessary to do the job in very different circumstances. And so it's a question of qualification cross-border, it's a question of infrastructure which we can build, what can we do in research and innovation, It's very clear that taxation could be a very important trigger. So which incentives can we place? And I think that's a real issue. From the financing point of view, can we give help? So it's a lot of different activities and initiatives which we really can set up from the political side. The world changes every day. Europe always grew if we are in a crisis situation. At present, we are in a so-called energy crisis situation. We have to see how to reduce the consumption of energy, especially from imported energy. At present, we import approximately 500 billion euro every year on energy, approximately 200 billion on raw materials. So the key question is, what can we do within Europe to take this money and invest it into our own structures within Europe? And how can we take care that this approach is not hindered from outside of European Union, where of course a lot of interest is to get a bigger market share in Europe and hinder productivity within European Union. So that's what has changed dramatically. We got a lot of new NGOs also on Brussels level, and their main job is to kick out the production area from European Union. And we think we should do the opposite. We should be as attractive as possible to have the cleanest and most sustainable industry in Europe, to get foreign direct investment, because people know that the standard for the next generation is quite important, and we should do our utmost to be as attractive as possible in European Union.